안녕하세요, 수인입니다. Hey Roses, I'm back to do a massive manga haul. I went a little crazy when I was at John's or Reva's, as some of you guys know him as, because he has a lot more bookstores in his area than I do in mine. So I've gotten back into reading manga again after a volume called Don't Hold Back Lord Hades. It is an adult one. So, disclaimer before I start showing any of these. Most of these are mature or older teen. Please do not reach for these if you are not of age. They are shrink wrapped in the store for a reason. I have taken all the shrink wrap off of these, but my point still stands. They are shrink wrapped for a reason. Especially two of the ones that I'm going to show. So I'm going to start with the bag that is behind the one that you see in frame, because a lot of the ones in that bag I've read already. So let me get it. Because I have a red Barnes & Noble's bag here. Okay. And I will let you know which ones are shrink wrap, which ones aren't. So the first one was shrink wrap, but it was very tame. Like this one I can actually see in older, and it is rated older teen. And it's called Makina-san's A Love Bot. It's basically about this robot enthusiast or robot otaku who has a crush on the most popular girl in school, and he finds out that she is a robot designed for adult activities, and she needs his help because her leg popped off, and she's trying to find a way to keep her body from coming apart, basically. So yeah, it was interesting. Can definitely see a lot of teenagers getting into this kind of thing, especially if you're big into like robots or cybernetic stuff. So yeah, I did like this one. I think I gave it a 4, either a 3.5 or 4 stars out of 5. So I did really enjoy that. Put that right there. Okay, next one is called The Metalhead Next Door. This one is also, it's rated mature, but I feel like this one is one of the more tamer ones, all things considered, of the ones I've read so far. And it follows a graduate student who nearly freezes to death outside of his new cheap, unheated apartment during a blizzard. But his neighbor, who is Soshi right here, he is someone that has crippling social anxiety to the point where he can't even like talk to people. He stutters so much over his words that it is extremely hard for him to communicate with other people. So he's even like him trying to say I'm sorry in school is just really hard for him, because it cuts to a scene in it. I'm not going to say what the scene's about, but yeah, Kento, the blonde, he's the graduate student, and he is a lot more bubbly and outgoing, and slowly you see that start to affect Soshi a little bit, which is nice. But I do recommend this one. This is also a BL, so if you're into BLs, then you would like this. It's one of the more tamer BLs. Yes, it was shrink wrapped, but all things considered, compared to another one that I read, this one's pretty tame. Alright, next one is Attack on Titan Before the Fall, Volume 4. I picked up volume 4. I wanted to pick up volume 5, but I could not find it. This takes place, I don't even know how far before the events of the original Attack on Titan. This is, I legit cannot remember. Let me see. Yeah, it doesn't say, but I want to say it's, my brain wants to say 20 to 30 years before the events of Attack on Titan. Don't quote me on that because I have no idea. But basically, the guy on the cover, they call him Kuklo, also known as Titan's son. And what that means is his mom was pregnant with him and was part of a Titan worshippers group. And they open the wall so that they can see the Titans face to face. His mom gets eaten by the Titan, but after a while the Titan pukes her up along with other people that he's eaten because they don't have digestive systems, and he's somehow still alive. So they cut him out and free him, but they call him the Titan's son because he was in the stomach of a Titan while his mom was pregnant with him. So it's an interesting concept, and I've been really enjoying the story so far. I do feel so bad for Kuklo though throughout this whole thing. I'm like, holy crap. There's a blurb on the back that says Japan's equivalent of The Walking Dead. Totally agree with that. Absolutely. Totally agree with that. So if you like Attack on Titan and are wanting like a different spin on it, then I would recommend this for sure. Alright, here come the next two that I said would be very explicit. This one, out of any of the mature ones I've read, these two were most. So do keep that in mind. And it is X Drive. I don't want to say the actual word because I don't want to get demonetized, but X Drive volumes 1 and 2. Although I might get demonetized just for showing these. Well, I say demonetized. I don't even make money on YouTube. So, anyway. If that's the case. But it basically follows a organization known as the Noisere, I'm not how you, Soiree maybe, and it is basically a secret intelligence agency specializing in espionage. Her unusual like the main character in the first one, her unusual condition, excessive pheromones, makes her a natural at seduction, but it comes with a price. Uncontrollable bursts of heat that make her a danger to herself and those around her. So then she gets recruited by the agency to become an intelligent agent to help them get like information and stuff. But in volume 2 we follow a different couple, which is Aroha is the name of the woman and Nakamura is the guy. And Aroha is one of the veteran Venas. That's the term that they use for women that have this ability. She's one of the like veterans and is used to this kind of work. And Nakamura always did the planning behind the scenes, but he got moved to the undercover part of the agency. So it's about her trying to show him the ropes, but then she finds out that he's not what she thought, if that makes any sense. I really don't want to give these away. I know volume 3 is going to be coming out in March, mid-March I think. So it'll be interesting to see what couple volume 3 follows, because it's different per volume. So like this one is Jun and Isui, and this one is Aroha and Nakamura. So But again, very mature, as obvious with the name, but do not read these if you are not of age. Just putting that out there. I do not want people buying these and then their parents getting mad at me because I showed these on YouTube. Okay, this one I have not read yet, but I thought was really interesting, and it's called The Cat Proposed. This is another BL as well. It basically follows an overworked salaryman who decides to watch a traditional Japanese play, and one of the actors turns out to be a bakineko, a shape-shifting cat from Japanese folklore, and then the cat says, "Starting today, you'll be my mate," type of thing. So I think this one's really innocent because this one wasn't shrink wrapped. But I am definitely curious about this one. I think I found this one either Books A Million or Barnes and Noble. I have them all piled in these 2 bags and didn't separate it because I just didn't have the patience for that, let's be honest. So, but yeah, definitely excited to check that one out. Let me do this one next. I found Death Note Short Stories, which takes place 3 years after Light's death. And it has 3 stories: C. Kira, A. Kira, and the Death Note pilot chapter, vignettes of L's life, and more. So it mainly follows this young boy here. At least I'm pretty sure he's the main one in A. Kira. And he comes across the notebook and he decides, instead of using it, he's gonna find other ways of using it, and that is as far as I will go with that, because the route that he takes is very intriguing. So I don't want to spoil that by any means, but if you like Death Note and are wanting more stories set in that universe, definitely recommend this. Here's another BL, and this one was shrink wrapped, and it's called Wimpy Demon King and Tsundere Hero. And it basically follows Prince Ike, who storms the castle trying to prepare for a fierce battle against the Demon King, but he runs away. It says what should have been a fight to the death quickly turns in an unexpected game of chase, as Ike discovers the feared villain is actually timid and despises conflict. But when Ike gets injured, it's the Demon King who cares for him more than anyone else, even go out of his way to understand Ike's feelings. Ike arrived determined to defeat his enemy, but now he finds himself wishing he could spend more time with him. So, interesting idea for sure. And I did read this one. This one was good. And the mature content isn't like super explicit, all things considered, especially compared to the X Drive one, but it was good. I did like this one a lot. Okay, the rest in this bag I have not read, so we'll roll with that. So I have Wolf's Daughter, A Werewolf Tale 1 and 2. Follows Tsukina, who is an average high school girl, comes across a man who helps her begin to realize she's not entirely human, and she finds out she's a werewolf. So I just thought this concept was interesting, and not gonna lie, the girl on the cover reminded me a little bit of Saya from Blood Plus. If you've seen that anime or read the manga, please tell me I'm not crazy, because she reminded me a lot of Saya when I looked at it, and I was just like, that's interesting. But yeah, I thought these were an interesting idea, and these weren't shrink wrapped, even though they are. Oh, these are 7 Seas titles, but the mature ones are Steamship. So this is 7 Seas. And then Attack on Titan was Shonen Jump. Death Note was Shonen Jump. And the Metalhead Next Door is Sublime. But the rest of them are Steamship, with the exception of Cat Propose, that's Tokyo Pop. Sorry, I have really bad dry mouth today. Okay. Next is also 7 Seas, and it is Betrothed to My Sister's Ex. There is a light novel that this says based on the hit light novel series also inspired the anime. And this is like a Cinderella type romance where the girl on the cover doesn't get treated well by her family. The older sister is considered the more pretty and is more likely to find a betrothed than her, but a guy comes to the castle and he ends up liking her and not the sister. And then when she realizes that's her sister's ex, she's like, whoa. It's like awkward. But yeah, I really liked the cover art too. That's kind of what drew me in. This one is, I do not know. I don't know what publisher made this one. Manta, I think. I think it's Manta. Yeah, Manta Comics. And it's Disobey the Duke If You Dare. This one I found at Second and Charles. I do know that because there's a sticker on the back. And it normally retailed for $25, and because I found it at Second and Charles, I only paid $11. So definitely interesting. This one, I can't remember if it was shrink wrapped or not. I want to say it was. I want to say this one was shrink wrapped, but like I said, I could be wrong. But yeah, excited to get to this one at some point. Right, let me get the last 3 out of that bag so I can put the bag on the floor. Next is one that I hadn't even heard of before, and I realized why after the fact, because it's from 2004. And it is Tokyo Pop Get Backers. And this one is older, teen as well, but it follows 2, they're known as retrievers, Genji and Mito. But it's saying that they come across a homeless man who takes pity on them and shares some of the food he's been able to scrounge because they haven't had much work. And as soon as he realizes that they're get backers, he offers them all he has left to get his daughter back from the Yakuza. So, very intrigued by this one, and you can definitely tell it's old Tokyo Pop based on the art style. Alright, this one was shrink wrapped, and it is called Strategic Lovers, although it probably would be a dead giveaway that it was shrink wrapped based on the cover. But it follows Kota, who is an estranged son of an enormously wealthy corporate founder. He thinks the issue of succession and inheritance has nothing to do with him until his father's condition worsens and he's suddenly kidnapped to become the new chairman. Before him are 5 beautiful girls, all in contention to become his lover, and each with her own agenda. It's up to Kota to investigate and choose who he really wants. But with his hands full, and they put that in quotes, from the girls' advances, will he really be the one controlling the board, or will he become a pawn instead? Like I said, I haven't read this one yet. I plan to soon. So I just thought the premise sounded interesting. I'm not showing the back because the back is like, whoa. Those back there. And then the last one in that bag was also from Half Price Books, and it is Sword Art Online Progressive. Now, this was a series that I know John or Riva liked some years ago. I don't think he's as into it now, but it basically follows like a student who studies at cram school preparing for her high school entrance exams, but that was before she borrowed her brother's virtual reality game and wound up trapped in Sword Art Online with 10,000 other frightened players. She fears what will become of her life outside the fantasy realm. Unwilling to wait on the sidelines for more experienced gamers to beat the game, she employs her study habits to learn the mechanics of the game, and her swiftness impresses Kirito, a professional gamer who invites her to join the best players on the front line. So, I've seen clips from Sword Art Online, but I haven't actually read any of the manga. So, it'll be interesting for me to start dipping my toes, so to speak, in this one. Alright, now for the big mega bag. Let's do these. Okay, none of these were shrink wrapped in this pile that I just pulled. I got Splatoon 5, or Splatoon Volume 5, rather, excuse me. I've actually been enjoying this a lot more than I thought I would, so I'm definitely curious to see how the story continues. Not gonna lie though, the dude on the front looks like a total douchebag. Cue Ray William Johnson, They're Your Favorite Martians douchebag song. As soon as I said that, that's what I thought about. But anyway, definitely am curious how the story continues. Then I also got Volume 1 of Otaku Vampire's Love Bite. This follows a modern vampire. She drinks blood in bags instead of from humans, but she's a complete shut-in who hasn't left the house in 30 years. In effort to reach her, her dad does something that changes her life. He gives her a DVD of the Vampire Cross anime. So she moves from Romania to Japan and starts getting a bunch of merch from the series that her father gave her, and then she finds out that her neighbor looks just like the male protagonist, so she's even more excited. If you guys like this author, she also did Kami-sama Kiss, if you guys are familiar with that one. So, and I've read, I think, 2 volumes of Kami-sama Kiss, because my library had them. Pretty sure it was 1 and 2. But I ended up finding this one for $4.95 instead of $12, so, from Second and Charles. This one was a Half Price Books find, and it was called Magic Touch. And this particular school has a massage research society club, and the main girl otherwise is a normal, quiet girl until she falls in love at first sight with the back of Yosuke, the hottest guy at her school. So, and then hijinks ensue. Okay, and the next one is My Kitten is a Picky Eater. I just thought this one was really cute. This guy rescues a kitten on the verge of death, and he realizes that the cat has a very particular palate and doesn't like traditional cat food. So he basically starts learning how to cook food for him so that he'll actually eat. So it sounded cute. I know there's several volumes out, but I figured I would just roll with volume 1 for now. And I really love the picture of the cat on that though. It's so cute. Okay. I have Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess Volume 1, a series I've been wanting to get into for a while, especially after I watch Emil or Chogo Conroy's Let's Play of Twilight Princess, where he references the manga a lot. So I'm glad I was able to find Volume 1. If at some point I can find the box set, then this one might get sold on my Mercari, but that's only if I find the box set. I might have to just buy them one at a time. So, because I've heard that the story in the manga is a lot different than the game. And the next one is also a BL. It's rated 18 plus. And I do not know how to say this, so I'm just gonna hold it up like this so you guys can read it, because I believe it is Russian, and I don't want to butcher the Russian language, but this is set in the 1930s, and it's about two people who are like secret agents, and they must hide the truth of their identities as they navigate the fraught political climate and harsh landscape of the Soviet Union on a highly secret and terribly personal mission. And then it starts like a budding relationship between the two. So, and the cover of this one feels more like rough compared to the others, so I thought that was an interesting thing. This one I got at Barnes & Noble, I know, because that was one of the last ones that I got when I was there. This one I'm just going to casually mention. I did get Inuyasha Visbig 3. I really love the Inuyasha manga and anime, so I was excited to find the bind up of volume 3. So if they had 4, I probably would have gotten volume 4 as well, but I only saw 3, so, but that's fine. Get out of the bag, please. Thank you. Oh, this one I just pulled out has 2 more volumes. Let me get it. There we go. I did get the full trilogy of Healer of the Shadow Hero. So we got 1, 2, and 3. And this follows a servant girl who runs into someone that is known as the Shadow Hero, and he has an incurable disease, but she has the power to cure it, but the catch, she can only heal him by losing her virginity to him. So yes, these were shrink wrapped. They're rated older teen though, so it's probably not super graphic, but I was, oh wait, this isn't a trilogy. It might not be a trilogy actually, that was my bad. There is a trilogy that I got in here. I just can never remember which one, but yeah. Interesting premise, so I picked those up. I did get the light novel volume 1 of Summer Hikaru Died. Basically follows a young boy named Hikaru who goes up in the mountains one day, disappears for a week and comes back down the mountain, and his best friend can tell that something is off So he knows that that's not the real Hikaru. And so now they're trying to figure out what exactly came down the mountain. And at the end of volume 6 in the manga, there are some twists and turns. That is all I will say. I don't want to give anything away. But if you like horror series with mystery elements, I would suggest this for sure. And if you don't know what light novel is, I mean just the literal novel. So next I have the feisty Omega and his twin mates. This one was also shrink wrapped, and it's a BL. But it follows this guy who says is an Omega who has lived his life pretending to be a Beta to protect himself from the Alphas. Despite his precautions, he goes into heat on his way to a job interview and is nearly attacked. Thankfully, a pair of elite Alpha twins manage to save him in the nick of time. However, instead of feeling at ease, he can't resist the intense attraction he feels around these two brothers, which means he's found his fated mate. Problem is, which one is it? So, I thought this was an interesting concept. I know when I was picking up a lot of these, John or Reva was looking at giving me this funny look. I'm just like, don't give me that look. This is I Can't Refuse S Volume 2. This follows a young girl named Miku who basically is trying to learn adult activities, and the butler of the mansion decides he is going to teach her so that she can be good in bed with her betrothed. So, super different concept. Love that though. If you hear music, that's Mom's phone. But I haven't read volume 1 yet, but I saw volume 2 on sale at Second and Charles, so I picked it up. The next one I have is really cute, and it is Cat Massage Therapy. And it follows someone called Nekoyama, who after a long day at the office stops at a massage parlor, only to discover that it's run by a cat. Not only that, but the cat actually does the massaging. As the professional masseur digs soft toe beans into his aching muscles, his heart warms and his worries melt away. So I thought the idea of this one sounded really cute. It's also in color. So excited to check that one out, as I've said about all of these. I think it was this one. Was it this one? No. One of these. Oh, wait, I know it's this one. The trilogy, adored by an elite officer, could this be love? So, 1, 2, 3. Basically follows a young woman named Nagiko who gets hit with a double whammy. Her job's gone under, and her boyfriend called it quits. But she reconnects with a childhood friend, and it says, what begins as a casual reunion takes a jaw-dropping turn when he unexpectedly proposed marriage. And it says, impulsive? Sure. But he isn't just a hunky member of the Japanese self-defense force. He's utterly devoted, hopelessly romantic, and irresistibly sweet. So, I had heard some things about this one in different manga discords I'm in, so I wanted to read these and see what they were about. Next I have volumes 1, 2, and 3 of Seduced by the Demon King. So you got volume 1, volume 2, volume 3. So it says it follows this young girl named Haruka whose career is stalled and she doesn't have a love life. But everything changes when a shooting star crashes at her feet, revealing a sinfully handsome man who claims to be the Demon King. Even more shocking, he insists Haruka was once his sworn enemy, a saint in a past life. Though she has no memory of their shared history, he seems to know everything about her. So, it's definitely an interesting concept. I don't think I've ever read anything like that, unless it was a Shishomaru and Kagome Lemon, but don't think it went down the route that these did. And yes, I did just say that I read fanfic. Sue me. I'm sure I'm not the only one that has read fanfic here on YouTube. I'm tired of dry mouth, man. Good grief. The next one is a one-shot, but it was shrink wrapped, and it is You Will Become My Wife. So it follows this young heiress named Alice. And it says she knows just how lucky she is. Her fiance, Reiji, who is the dedicated secretary, handsome, cool, and responsible, and Alice is head over heels for him. No matter how fervently she expresses her love, his responses are always ice cold. Sure, he'll tease her, but what she truly desires is his heart. So it's saying, does he love her, or is it purely physical between them? So I am interested to read this one. One, because it's a one-shot, so I know it's like a one and done. But two, just because the concept sounded interesting. Like, I don't mind reading one-shots personally. I know some people don't like reading one-shots because sometimes they'll be hinting at other things and then you're like, it never got resolved. What the heck? So, but this one might be one I read next. I'm not entirely sure. I know after this video I do want to keep a few out to read. I do plan to do a manga collection at some point, but I have to rearrange the shelves a little bit, so it'll be a second. Okay, down to the last 6. I'll do these since they are 1 and 2, and that is Sweet Heat Before Falling in Love. Follows Uiko. That was my mom opening wine, if you heard that. But when unexpected heat hits, she seeks refuge at Alpha Omega, a sex salon where Omegas meet their perfect alpha match. And the alpha that she ends up getting matched with might be closer than she realized. Let's just put it that way, because he's masked in the club, or the salon. But yeah, that's 1, that's 2. I think this is actually a fairly new series, because I don't think Volume 3 is out yet. Alright, next is the Volume 2 of Don't Hold Back Lord Hades. Like, the first one was insane. Like, right from the get-go, it was like, whoa. But this is a manga take on the Hades and Persephone mythology. So, I am excited to get to Volume 2. I know Volume 3 comes out in, I want to say March as well. So if I read this and then Volume 3 does come out, then I can start Volume 3, but then have to wait for Volume 4, because I don't know if it's going to be strictly 3 or if it's going to be more than 3. Next is I Can't Stand Being Your Childhood Friend, Volume 1. This is a BL. And it says, two best friends and roommates realize their bond was deeper than they ever imagined. And they've basically been friends their whole lives, and when they go to the same college, it only makes sense for them to try to room together. But one day, one of them wakes up to find the other leaning in to kiss him. So, like a friends, I guess if I had to give it a trope, it'd be friends to lovers. Okay, next is the scheming crown prince's wicked consort. The only daughter of a royal army general, Angelica was raised as a soldier and earned the nickname Ice Witch due to her aloof personality. Thanks to all that, she's already lost one engagement and has resigned herself to never marrying. But that does nothing to lessen the expectation that she will provide an heir. So what's a lady about to do but secretly hunt for a man to help her conceive? Then she realizes it happens to be Prince Elvin, the crown prince, and the very person to whom Angelica has sworn allegiance. So, this one was shrink wrapped as well. So was the I Can't Stand Being Your Childhood Friend. And this one was too. And it's called Winter Wolf. This was 7 Z's, but it was part of their webtoon. And it follows a woman on the run because a dangerous revolt claimed the lives of her family. She employs the broker to help her escape the kingdom before she meets the same deadly fate. But he isn't the easiest man to work with, and the two spend most of their relationship with plenty of bickering and arguing. That is, until an unexpected snowstorm leaves them stranded in an eerie abandoned mansion. Now they must put their differences aside to survive the cold and escape. As the outside temperatures drop, things inside the mansion heat up as burning desire ignites between the two. Will they resist the pull towards each other, or will temptation lead them down a more dangerous path? And this one's all color. Let me just show the first page, but it's like all color. But yeah, that's everything in that bag. Okay, so that was everything for this manga haul. I know it was super long, and I apologize. I haven't done a big manga haul in a while. Please do not judge me too harshly for getting a bunch of shrink wrap titles. I was just curious about some of the plot points in them, especially volume 2 of the Lord Hades, especially after reading volume 1. But anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down below if any of the volumes I've shown are interesting to you, and if they are, let me know. I can potentially do a review, like the one that's a trilogy. I could do a review on that one, and then if there are certain ones I only have volumes 1 of, then I can do an FVI that is trademarked by that manga dude, but I've done it before. And with all that being said, I will talk to you guys soon in another video, another time. Bye, roses. Annyeong.